Joanna's in. Good morning. How are you, my darling?
I am all right. How are you?
You look fantastic. It's like the light is coming through the window. You look gorgeous.
It's the first spot of sunshine in Melbourne for like a few days, so
And I
feels
can
good.
I can see you are loving that sunshine. You look magnificent. So Louise is in. We love to see you back, Louise.
Hi,
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Nice to be back.
Oh, we're thrilled to
Not
see
my
you.
first
Queen
time.
Queen Kathy's with us. The light of our lives, Kirsty, is with us from her undisclosed lifestyle location, which is terribly aspirational for me. The ambassador of Norfolk Island is in once more. Queen Gay is in. Kathy is in. Gazelle is in. I love you forever. You had to put up with me this week, darling. Thank you for being amazing in that training.
Thank you.
Oh, is that like, yeah, fine. You were amazing. So thank you, my darling. So Kyle's is in the house. We love you, Kyle's. Jules is back in. Our light Amina is with us. Amina, you are just so spectacular to us. We love you. And whether we see you, whether we don't see you, your presence is like the marinade of our happiness, my queen. So you keep being amazing. And oh, and our Susan's about to come in. Oh, isn't this exciting? Always when Susan comes in. Oh, Susan, whenever I see you, it's just like Susan's coming, Susan is here. Welcome, Susan. Good evening to you.
Hi, everybody.
We are thrilled. So, colleagues, welcome to Right Club, and we'll do some shout outs to the legendary Vic, who is so precious to us, that joins us the next morning on Saturday morning and does it all asynchronously. We love you, Vic. Thank you for the updates you give us every single week. We love you. We support you. We're with you. We also need to say to gorgeous Catherine, who is with us on Sunday mornings and is writing with us. Catherine, we love you. Thank you for all that you do. And all our other friends that join us asynchronously. And there's like hundreds of people, so it's fantastic. And our mate Paul is not with us today because he's in an undisclosed hotel location and getting up early. But Paul, we adore you and thank you for everything you do for Right Club. You are legendary. So Tegan's in as well. That's great. And Jane, who we're all just so in love with, is here. And Queen Mary has joined us. So colleagues, welcome to Right Club. Let's do this. Let's create some magic. Let's write something magnificent in the next 29 minutes. Let's change the world. See you on the other side. Let's do this. Good on you, Queen Mary. Come on, girlfriend. Come on, let's do it.
I just need to work out how to.
Last minute, colleagues. And we are concluded, dear friends. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at Megan. Ooh. Ooh, and we'll go straight to you, Megan, because of the ooh. I feel that way. Oh, what just happened? Okay, Megan, tell us what you're writing this week. I don't know, Megan, so do tell me.
I'm just writing on lived experience and co-design and co-production. And I was so filtered into what I was writing that I just about had a heart attack when you said 1 more minute. It broke me, yeah, because I was so concentrated on what I was writing.
It was that kind of morning, wasn't it, Megan? That's unbelievable. That's why I try and do it classy. But of course, my classy probably sounds like Barry White on meth, right?
No, it does. And you always drop your tone and your volume. So it is quite classy, but I was just so into what I was writing right then and there.
So look, how are you finding co-design? It's sort of become a cliche of our time, and it's a shame because actually it's a really important thing and very enabling for diverse groups outside of a university. Where are you on the co-design thing now, mate?
Well, co-design and co-production are absolutely integral to anything to do with mental health. And I am evaluating a mental health program, a school program. So I'm actually changing everything that I had thought because the 2023 Mental Health Commission's document very clearly says do not even touch this unless it is co-design and co-production for lived experience. Yeah, so there you go. Same here. Thank you so much. Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah, it's just something that's got to happen.
Oh,
yeah.
That's brilliant. I'm going to seek out that document this afternoon. Oh, I've got some homework. You always give me homework, Megan. That's great.
It is going to extend my timeline though, because when you have to co-design and co-produce with somebody else, all of a sudden, well, it is about power imbalances, but all of a sudden you don't have the power to collect and write and cite and organize because you're always waiting on somebody else. So that's going to be a challenge.
Yes, look, it's challenging. In terms of the timelines we can figure for you, how we render it more iterative. So there's the co-design elements of the thesis, and there's the other elements of the thesis. And I'd almost have an A and a B with you, Megan, and the co-design works at its own clock, and we find other bits of the thesis that have their own clock.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm okay to do that. Yeah. Thanks, Tara.
I know you are. You can do anything. Oh, Megan, because I was looking at you, I was going, I was exactly in that sort of same zone too. I was like, oh my goodness me, you're a legend, Megan. Now, wonderful Louise is with us. We are so thrilled to see Louise. So Louise, my love, what were you working on for this morning?
I was just doing a little bit of note-taking actually. So a little bit of reading and note-taking. I'm still at the very early stages of my research. I've just starting off. So just doing some reading about, I'm looking into screening methods for women during pregnancy, relating to mental health and the mother-infant relationship. So I'm just doing a bit of exploring and reading and note-taking
That's exciting. Now, because I am quite involved with people's lives and quite obsessed by how people take notes. Are you taking notes on a computer? So how are you doing notes? Are you reading like a book, or you're reading a Kindle book? And where are you putting the notes? Tell me.
Yeah, I am now, because I used to kind of, back in, you know, previous years of study, do little things on articles and that. And then but now I've got two computers. I'm at home, so I've got two laptops happening, and I read on one and then write on the other.
Look, it's Louise, the research from England, from JISC, really does show that if you can separate the reading platform and the note-taking platform, that is the way forward. So you are there, girlfriend.
Yeah, it's my new style. So I did see someone's YouTube video on it, that's why.
Oh, gee.
So it was very helpful. Thank you.
Talking about my little green friend. That's fantastic. Oh, look, I'm grateful. But notes matter. For me, notes are the foundation of scholarship. That's why I talked about it, because we never talk about notes. It's like magically sort of research appears, and it's like Louise has just led us behind the wizard's curtain, so we've seen what occurs.
And making a huge difference, I find, in what I can actually retain from when you're reading so much.
The research does show that if you separate the platforms, you remember more, the interpretations occur more easily, and you also stop plagiarism problems.
Yeah.
Oh, you rocked up, Louise. Thank you for this morning.
Thank you.
We'll go to our undisclosed lifestyle location. Kirsty, where were you? Where were you this week? I'm so excited every week. What were you doing this week?
So this week was actually our student research showcase at the uni, and I did my 3MT yesterday. So I'm equally elated and exhausted today. So I just stuck to little things today, like I'm our student mentor and HDR rep in our school. So I sent emails off to our cohort, and I just did bits and pieces, you know, because I thought my brain's just not in it. And I'm analysing for my second article at the moment. I don't know if everyone else has felt this before, but there's a story there and I just can't grasp it. And I'm trying to reach for it, and I got really frustrated. So I thought I'm just going to stick to admin stuff today.
Fair enough, to park it through. And Kirsty, the way if you're grasping for a story or an interpretation or what the point of that article is, again, we're in a real multimodal conversation this morning, following on from Louise. Speak the argument, darling. Go for a walk around the house, get your phone, press the weird memo function, and ask yourself, what is the story, and ask yourself that question, or have my dulcet tones in your head asking you that question, and then answer it and record it, because you're looser when you're speaking an argument, and then you put your headphones on and you simply type what you spoke.
Yeah thank you.
Try it and see if it works. Oh, I'm excited. And how did you go with the 3MT yesterday?
Well, I didn't win, but I smashed it out of the park and I looked fabulous. So you can pop on my LinkedIn to see a snippet if you want to. So
oh, look, I stalk you anyway, so this gives me an actual legitimate excuse. So that's fantastic. Congratulations, darling. So does it get any better than smashing it out of the park and looking fabulous? I think not, Kirsty. I think not. Oh, that's magnificent. And shall we go to our light of our lives, lovely Kathy? How are you, Kathy? What were you writing on, you superstar? Do you want to tell us?
This Kathy?
Yes, you. We only have one Kathy in our lives.
I just realised I've done this enormous amount of research so that I could put in my outline, which is essentially to do with the 1,000 pieces of negatively racially discriminatory legislation across Australia in every federal, state and territory government for 188 years, to see how and to find out which rights were identified and after that and extinguished, and what I can do to actually link each one of those rights extinguishment with present day Aboriginal society. Awesome. And so what I was writing down there is, because I've been thinking a lot about what you said about backbones and spines, how your PhD's got to have a spine. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to find a really good outline of Tyrannosaurus Rex, because you all remember, don't you, Alice and the mouse's tail? The poem in the shape of a mouse's tail, like that. And I'm going to be quick here. I'll talk really fast so I don't take up too much time. But the backbone of the Tyrannosaurus Rex will be my 15 propositions. The arms will be justice and law. The tail will be legislation. And the head will have me riding on it. Fighting with the truth, because who knows about that? Does anybody know about that? Well, I even asked ChatGPT, whatever it's called, and it didn't know anything about it. So
It didn't know nothing, mate.
I'm the only person who's ever done this. Why? Because I was raised a communist by communist parents who said that I was allowed to fight City Hall. Full stop.
And that's why you were meant to meet a dean who's an Althusserian Marxist, and I'll
If
follow
I
you
hadn't
anywhere.
met Tara,
Yes, mate.
if I hadn't met you, I wouldn't be doing this, because you are absolutely remarkable.
I'm just Kathy, I'm just a random, but I know you. So I get increased fame by all the fabulous people that I know. And God knows, Kathy, this is going to be a great thing.
You're amazing. And to meet all these beautiful, beautiful people whom I absolutely love, I might even meet some of them. And I might even be able to help some of them with some of my odds and ends of information. There was a lady doing a PhD from West Australia.
That's wonderful, Mary.
And I have found, I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks looking for this particular Communist Party document
Obviously.
from the 50s about West Australia, and I scanned it and I finally found it. So I will, if I get her address, I will print it. It's about 30 pages, and I will post it to her, because nobody in the world owns that document anymore.
This is fantastic. Well, you've picked the right historian. So Mary and
That'd be
Kathy.
fantastic.
Mary, where's Mary?
My great uncles helped found the Communist Party in Western Australia.
Well, there you go. I mean,
They were the Mountjoys.
They gave me an ASIO file when I was fucking 14.
Oh.
Can I say?
Because they're insane, and they wrote in 1,000 insane, hideous laws, which I now want to track down to see what effect they've had on contemporary Aboriginal society. Because I'll just add one thing. Oh, look, I'm such a chatterbox, truly. You have to drag me off the stage with a stick. But what happened is that in 1839, Queen Victoria, at the very beginning of her reign, when she was a really idealistic, beautiful young woman, she was so disgusted and shocked by what was happening to Aboriginal people in Australia and the colonies, that she sent out this ordinance that literally spelled out 17 rights that Aboriginal people owned as British subjects, and every single one of and it was completely, and it was hidden. That's a document, you can't even find it on the web anymore, because it was hidden away and completely ignored by everybody. And every single law since then is designed to crush every single one of those rights. Full stop. I'll say not another word.
Kathy is the best. And clearly what's going to happen to Right Club shortly is ASIO is going to start following our work, clearly, because of the scale of the radicalism that is occurring. But that's Anya. And speaking, Kylie, there's another T-shirt slogan for us, Anya. So Kylie, after this rousing speech, where are you now on your writing, gorgeous Kylie?
Oh, I'm going to be very, very boring after coming from Kathy. Sorry. I was doing again my admin stuff. No, good, Kathy. I found it very interesting. Was my yearly review document and updating my milestones and working out that they would like me to try and finish in February next year, and I'm may or may not. So I'm just updating the review stuff. So yeah, it was pretty mundane, but needs to be done to tick the box.
You can do it, Kylie. We believe in you till the end of time. We got you. We got you, Kylie.
I'd like the end of the year, mainly because I'd like to allow myself to go to the F1s in like early next year, but do I buy the tickets or not, just in case?
Yeah, look, I think Jamie Quinton will be with you. I think the pair of you will be doing that. So, yeah.
As long as we're hanging out at the Ferrari area,
Yeah,
Jamie.
the Ferrari,
Yeah, go Carlos.
Says the BMW person going, really though, really? Kylie, you,
No, but have you seen him? He's like 25, but I can look.
Jamie? Yeah,
Does
no,
nothing for me.
does nothing for me. And that's why you married me. Thank you, Jamie. Kylie, get those tickets. Wonderful. The lovely Tegan, my darling. How are you? What were you writing on? It's lovely to see you again.
Yep, I'm likely to be a feature for some time. This is good rigor for me. I'm doing a heap of like looking. I'm really asked about on my thesis. Like it's taken me years to get the data together across Arnhem Land in interviews. And so now I'm really trying to work out my theoretical framework as a natural scientist, trying to pretend to be a social scientist without a social science supervisor. So finding your YouTube super useful, and particularly the supervise yourself, very invigorating, a little bit Thatcherite, but I'm into it. I can do this. So looking for a little bit of theoretical framework to support some of the interview data that's emerged, and still going back, I guess, combing through the two drafts I've got to try and get a little bit of thematic consistency with the bigger picture. So yeah, good. Nice way to start the day.
Wonderful way to start the way. Can I ask you a question? What do you because theory is capital T, small t, diversifies from the experimental sciences right the way through to arts and humanities. Take it, darling, what do you need the theory to do?
I'm really looking for the framework, like still just looking for the lens on what the central argument is. Like, am I doing an economic thesis? Am I doing like there's a whole lot of different angles that I can take, and it's intentionally interdisciplinary, but it's at this point too messy. Like it's too straddled and there's too many options. So I'm really trying to find a cleaner line and cleave a little bit closer to a particular line. So
Megan, darling, your old dean offers one word for you.
Go on.
Go on. You really? You think? In Google Scholar, pop in the word positionality.
Okay.
Positionality.
Put in the word positionality and just see if that gets you. You use the crucial word lens there. Positionality is a magnificent lens for a transdisciplinary thesis to focus its vista. So it's a lens intentionally because it focuses your vista and your vision.
Cool.
May not work, but have a go. Have a go. Good on you, mate. I'm thrilled to see it. Wonderful, Joanna. Give us your fantastic update. You were doing something brilliant last week. What were you doing this week, my love?
Oof. It's a two-parter today. So first, I kind of got stuck on the futurity kind of framework that I was doing. And so I kind of had to take a step back and go, wow, this isn't working for what I'm trying to argue. And so I've kind of put that on hold and then went on a little discovery about negative affect and temporality. And I'm finding that's leading me into a better direction. So I'm going to ride that wave and yep. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah.
Darlin, was that temporality and affect with an A?
Yes.
Brilliant. Are you
the relationships with that?
Brilliant. Are you using any of Henry Jenkins' work?
No, I'm not. So I'm kind of Judith Halberstam with negative affect, Heather Love, kind of Carla Ficero. So just yeah, but I'll put Henry Jenkins down.
Yeah, Henry Jenkins and also Lawrence Grossberg. They were very influential with those other colleagues you were talking about. So it was a nice little cluster. And in terms of that interesting theoretical work on affect and time and popular memory, that might just be a hook for you. Yeah, you're a legend. Fantastic, you. Should we go to the remarkable, inspirational Susan? Good evening, Susan.
Good evening. Good evening.
I was making, I transcribed these Civil War era documents last week and I finished them this week. So what I've been doing tonight was making notes on what I found as I read the transcripts. Yeah.
No, I'm fascinated, Susan. Now, again, I'm obsessed by note taking, as we talked about with Louise. How are you? So you've got these incredible historical transcripts. How are you taking notes? Do you take notes directly with quotes, or are you putting your interpretation in? How are you managing that?
I'm doing them directly with quotes. It's more like abstracting from the transcripts so that I can, because the transcripts are complicated and they have all this, miscellaneous information that I don't necessarily think that I need right now. So what I'm doing is taking bits of the kernels of what I'm finding out of these documents and putting them into one page. And what I did was I transcribed from looking at the paper, the pages that I had printed out, and I entered them into a computer, printed out the transcripts, and I'm reading the transcripts, which are on paper, and I'm making the notes on the computer.
Beautiful. See, Louise, isn't it fascinating? I know it feels like we're a bit voyeuristic and getting inside people's lives with note taking. But Susan, you see what you've done there? You've got this beautiful iterative functionality, which is careful, respectful of the original, and gently building up the work. It's amazing, Susan.
Susan, are you using a qualitative software to help you?
If I'm using a what?
Qualitative analysis software like NVivo or TagWork?
No, what I'm planning on doing, and I haven't done it yet, is I want to use Airtable to put in the citations and notes and, keep everything organized. But I've only been learning Airtable very recently, so I don't know how to do it yet. And, that's going to be one of my next projects.
That's fantastic.
Airtable is sort of like, it's one of the reference note apps that you can use.
I think that's brilliant. Go, Gay.
I was talking about qualitative analysis software where you can put an electronic file into the software, and then you can go and tag it, and then it gives you reports, and you can start looking at themes according to the tags that you have used. So have you used that?
Yeah, that's what Airtable, that's one of the things that Airtable.
That's what Airtable is. Okay. Oh, you're talking about references with Airtable. I thought it was a referencing thing, not a qualitative software. Okay, that's fine. That's great.
But also, Gay, it is interesting for those of us that have a particular type of history training, and those of you that remember the one for Alyssa Armstrong was my former student who had 89,000 surveys with each about 100 lines. She made a decision not to use NVivo because she wanted to respect each individual survey, and she went through them by hand.
Good on her. There's just different ways of doing things. Yes. I've just learned about different kinds of qualitative software, and I haven't used it much, but
it's brilliant. But again, Susan's doing fantastic work. Gay's doing fantastic work. Should we go to our other historian? We've got a little historian cluster occurring here. Queen Mary. Now, we're all just obsessed by Mary, as you know. So, Queen Mary, where were you this week? What were you working on, my darling?
Well, whether it's foolish or not, I've decided to go into a 3MT competition, which is actually next week. So I was writing what I'm going to say for that. So wish me luck. But I just found that what Susan had to say really interesting, because I'm also looking at colonial archives, archives that are handwritten mainly, typing them up and then analysing them, and I'm writing a chapter from it. And I really do feel like I just am not sure how, what's the best way to write about this stuff when you're writing a chapter. So I've kind of reworded a lot of it, but I sort of turned it into a narrative, and now I'm just using that narrative to then look at various incidents that happened. And you have to, of course, put theory behind it. I'm using settler colonial theory and also strategic intimacies to describe the actions of Indigenous people during a massacre that I'm documenting. and how they dealt with the massacre and how they tried to control what the settlers were doing, lead them astray, get them lost, you know, when they're trying to hunt around and find this guy and kill him. So it's a really interesting chapter to write, but I've never done it before, so I'm like, what's the best way to do this? So I'm interested in what Susan's doing, because she's kind of doing the same work. She's looking at these old archives and then getting some information out that's very relevant today.
And being respectful of the original source. I think, you know, this is sort of the obsessive work I do. The consequence of digitization is I think it renders all information sort of cheap. We assume everything is replaceable, everything can replace everything else, and it exists in its, you know, there's no scarcity. But actually the documents that you're working on, Mary and Susan, also our Kathy, these are scarce and precious documents. And we've got to find ways as scholars to respect the scarcity. And I think you're doing that really well, Mary.
I don't think using qualitative software is disrespectful to the material. It's a way of looking at it and putting it into themes.
Oh, absolutely. But again, Gay, see, from my perspective, and again, I respect that a lot of my students use it. That's fantastic. But the very idea of themes sometimes upsets me, to be frank, because we as scholars are shaping the work of others that perhaps was not within their intentionality. So I'm a big believer in respecting the original source. It comes from my first couple of degrees in history, respecting the original source and not at speed imposing our views on it.
Well, doesn't that depend on the research question?
Yes, it does, but I think it also is about epistemology, respecting the views of others, respecting the views of humans that are no longer with us. And so that it's just a different ways of handling things. So Kylie, straight in there. Oh my God, come on, Kylie.
I was just going to say, I think this way I'm looking at it, I think we're looking at the same thing, but we're doing one deductively and inductively. We're forcing themes, and because I'm with Gay, I love my in vivo, but it's forcing what we think are themes, whereas you're using to develop the themes. So we're sort of talking the same thing, aren't we?
That's correct, my love. But I suppose I like getting a bit dirty in the data. So I don't particularly want to, remember I wrote a book called Digital Dieting, Kylie. I don't want to automate. I want to automate as little as possible. I want to get my hands dirty in the data. And if we are using the voices of particularly disempowered crew in the past, you want to respect them on their own terms. I think that's why I'm always cautious and careful and try not to reify or render teleological. But again, Gay is convincing us, and you know, a lot of my students use it. Gay, you're a legend.
Can I qualify, please? I'm a quantitative historian. I look at numbers to find things. And that's what I have done in my PhD, and that's what I'm doing in my current stuff. I have just learned about how you can use qualitative stuff in historical stuff. So I'm learning this stuff. It's just
no, you're doing really good.
We all are, Gay.
We all are, Gay. Don't worry about it. You're doing fantastically. Look, we'll drop in with 2 more people if we can. We just want to check in on our wonderful Ian. So Ian, what were you writing on Legendary Human?
Hi. I'm losing my voice because I sound a bit like a frog because I've got yet another cold that's been going around southeast Queensland. So everybody seems to have it. Yeah, today I'm still working on that Swedish Council International Postdoc application that I mentioned last week. And I've already applied for it twice and been rejected twice. And apparently that's completely normal. I got feedback. The second time I got rejected, my marks went up on each. They give you very detailed feedback. So they went up almost into the very good to excellent level. You know, you have to try and get them up. And so the feedback that they gave me was, so hang on, I should start. Just give you a really quick summary of what the project actually is. So it's a study, a proposed 3-year study of a North Korean refugee artist who lives and works in South Korea. And he is anonymous. He uses a pseudonym to protect his identity. And in North Korea, he trained as a painter of propaganda posters you probably would have seen them, in the socialist realist Soviet style of propaganda, the arousals of propaganda with slogans across them and things like that. So then when he moved to South Korea, he escaped from the North and moved to the South. He took this skill that he already had and sort of his experience of being a North Korean refugee and poured this into an oeuvre of artworks that use the North Korean propaganda style to subvert and criticize and critique the North Korean state and system. So he uses it he just uses it in really quirky sort of ways that undermine. And he also paints a lot of canvases of the landscape and natural features and wildlife and people around that fortified border of the DMZ with all its barbed wire and landmines. And he has this intimate sort of artistic relationship with the land. And so basically my proposal is to sort of approach it from the perspective of art-based peace building.
Yes.
Approaching his work. I've met him twice. I met him I met him in South Korea. I met him in Germany at one of his exhibitions. So approaching his work as a peace activist and an art-based peace building sort of perspective, and what that artist, or what understanding this artist's work can give us in terms of course, understanding peace and conflict on the Korean Peninsula, but also in the context of global climate disaster that we are heading towards, and what lessons can we sort of glean from this artist's artistic practice in his Korean context of divided and traumatized, bordered, ongoing conflict that's been going on for 70 years. What can we sort of pick out and learn that we can apply in a wider sort of in a wider level of cultural and earth stewardship? What principles can we learn about reimagining and sort of forming new relationalities between the human and the more than human and the land, that we can take. And so the critique that I got was, because I'm focusing on one Korean diasporic artist, that I have to tie it into a wider academic scholarly dialogue on Korean diasporic artists.
But that sounds like you're doing it, Ian. Everything you've just was there sound. I watched Kylie's face throughout that. That sounded absolutely brilliant, Ian.
Oh, great! That's good. So during today's session, I'm reading articles about Korean diasporic art and Korean diasporic artists all around the world, and I'm just, making notes as we discussed before. Making notes on I use Penzu. I don't know whether it's a very good platform really, but I quite like it because I just write pages and pages there. And so then I'm going to distill it, and then I have this application document which is 8 pages long, which is already absolutely distilled down to the each word has a significance. So I have to try to, without changing it too much, because it's already got high marks, so I can't change the whole thing, otherwise I'll just mess it up. So, but I have to insert. It's probably only going to end up being a couple of sentences,
but it won't matter. Ian, you give us the update next week. We are so proud of you. And look, wonderful, Dina. We've only got a minute, darling one. So I'm so sorry, Dina, but we need our finisher because Kylie and I are sort of stalking you. So Dina, and can I say, my love, the email you sent me, I will keep forever. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So I thank you for that. So Dina, sorry to only give you a minute, my darling, but tell us what you've done. Go, Angel.
So I've been finalizing my literature review. I decided to rewrite it because I was using this high theoretical framework to introduce the research but it didn't make sense for me because this is what I did not do it for the theory, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to voice the people that are courageously doing their work in the field, but they're not acknowledged enough. So because I read a lot, I watch a lot of your podcasts and YouTube, then I made my literature review sound the way I wanted to sound it. So I based it on another study that was done for the Disaster Resilient Village, and I made some contrasting comments on why this study needs to be done. For example, I made a subchapter about the KSPs that are working voluntarily. They're risking their life, but they are not receiving the love back from the community. For example, when they serve some dish, a person said, "Why did you serve us duck feed?" And it hurt and it broke their hearts because this is what they serve to everybody, and people were saying, "No, it's duck feed. We're refugees, but we don't deserve to get this kind of treatment." And then there are stories where people died in doing their work, people who are rescuing in one area, and then at the same time another aftershock happened in their own area, and they didn't have time to come back to their houses and rescue their families. So my introduction is like voicing these stories of people who are doing best at their job, and they said they like their job, but in a way it doesn't. I was just wondering what make them do this job in all these conditions. So that's why I thank you very much, Tara, for refocusing that, and I found my way back to how I wanted these theses to be presented and written.
And can I say, how proud are we? Or look at Kylie's face. I'm starting to. Dina, we are so proud of you. And I promised you from week one, we would walk with you, and we continue to do so. And we are so proud of you. So colleagues, a powerful, powerful morning. I thank you all for your expertise and your brilliance. And it's going to change how I think about note-taking and analysis through the afternoon. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week, and see you next Friday. Much love. Love you, Kyles.
A good week. Bye.
Bye-bye, darlings. Bye-bye. Wow. Fantastic.